All right, now we're going to talk about the resource and the finance plan behind the project. So for the resource plan, I broke it down into three main categories, being raw materials, the tools and equipment involved, and then the facilities and proper protective equipment involved, or PPE for short. I think I learned that from Amazon, but yeah, just a nice name for it. So the raw materials are obviously going to be the majority of the cost for this project. That includes all the things that went into making the actual bird houses and structures themselves, including the wood, the screws, the nails, the wood stainer, et cetera, et cetera. A couple of things that I did not consider at the beginning, but I had to end up adding into the project later on was hinges and knobs and different extra features like that. So apparently I learned along the way that birdhouses have to be cleanable, meaning that they have to be able to be opened in some way and cleaned out, once a year or something like that, because they'll just rot from the inside out from bird buildup if you leave them that way, or the squirrels can take the birds' homes and forever claim them. So important to have a doorway that opens them up one way or another. And so I had to actually end up adding hinges and knobs, but they were cost-free because a little bit of background, I've been doing this project at my grandpa's house that I currently live in. And he has he's been a woodworker his whole life, so a lot of the equipment's sitting around and free, and he had just a miscellaneous drawer full of these knobs and hinges and things that I was looking for to make it happen and incur no cost on the project. So that was lovely. Next was the tools and equipment category. This includes all the things I put in the write-up, including a screwdriver, the vice grip, sandpaper, saws, tape measures, etc. The things that ended up being included later on during the project's duration that I did not originally consider were things like the electric sander. I ended up using a nail gun, which was very helpful on the roofs, especially for the smaller house. The bigger screws made splitting the wood a lot easier with the smaller dimensions that you're working with. And then also the wood glue that I mentioned previously, because that also became pretty key to holding together the roofs and, keeping the birds from the rain. It's a house, right? Got to have a roof if it's going to be a house. And then finally, the third category was the facilities and the proper protective equipment, or PPE. And I originally wrote in the write-up that this is going to take place in three main places. The setting of the project overall would be Lowe's, the supplier of the majority of parts that I bought because they're right down the road from us. The workshop or shed that I've been working in to actually build all of this stuff, and then also the park in the final phase. Obviously, the first two were still in play because Lowe's gave me the wood that I needed. And then also I built the birdhouses in the shed. Given the park's update about the safety concern, should it fall and hurt somebody that's walking through the park, and I'm not going to be able to put it there, the park is no longer a consideration for any facility involved with the project. And obviously PPE was still used throughout the project, wearing goggles and gloves every time I actually did anything involving the construction tools and materials. Onto the finance plan. Originally, I estimated the cost to be under $100, and it came out to be approximately 50. That was super nice. In specific, it came out to be the total of, I believe it was $49.12. But the dimensions, as written in the write-up, are the wood was costing the most for the project. It ended up being $45.21. Side note, I estimated the tax for the area to see the difference between the prices should that be included. It was about $7.96 for the area that I'm in currently, based on government regulations and things. 7.96 for the sales tax. But anyways, the wood came out to be $45.21, and that was a 3/4 inch board that was 48 by 48 inches, about 4 feet each way, and which was more than enough. I still have left over. I also needed PVC pipe to fill in one of the holes in the birdhouses. And that ended up, I bought 2 PVC pipes, both about 1/4 inch long, or 1.25 inches long. And those came out to be $3.94 total. The post and grounding equipment is still up in the air because after the park denied, I just ended up not purchasing those because I figured the project wasn't going up. It wasn't until recently that it dawned on me that I could still put it in the garden in our backyard and, have it technically be in the park because our garden backs up to the park, but it's not in the park, obviously. And then the nice thing about that was also we had free tools, free facilities since they were all already here. And this included the power tools, the the oh yes, and the scrap wood that my grandpa still had laying around from all of his years of working, which really actually helped because that was the majority of what put together the roof for each of these projects. I needed a thinner, lighter wood that could still, hold its ground over time with the weather and things like that. So we'll see if that works out.